The second speaker is Jolene Stockman from New Zealand. Jolene Stockman is a multi-award winning TEDx speaker, author and instructional designer. She's also autistic. After initially struggling with her adult diagnosis, Jolene is now a global educator on diversity and inclusion with the International and Indigenous Speakers Bureau. Her first two books about autism are out now with Jessica Kingsley Publishers in the UK. As a working married autistic with 2 children and a degree, Jolene is excited to raise understanding and optimism around neurodivergence. Her topic is Autistic World Domination.
Headphones, soft lighting, food that doesn't touch, no tags and clothes. That is autistic world domination. Telling the truth, being direct, sensitive, open. The biggest lesson from the autistic culture is that it's not about fitting in anymore. We all experience the world differently, and we have all of the power and all of the responsibility to make the world our own. Tuia ki te rangi, tuia ki te whenua, tuia ke te nākau o te tangata katoa, ko te mea nui, ko te aroha, te Māori ora. Ko Jolene Stockman quick angio, he tangata waitaki wātanga, anei angio, nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Oh, greetings and salutations. I'm a little bit beside myself right now. Oh, no, you didn't kill me. She survived. She didn't vomit. Good job. I know, thanks. I'm Jolene Stockman. I'm autistic. I have ADHD. Oh, what else? Generalized anxiety. The big situational mutism. Just when people look at me when I'm talking, I'm kidding. You're fine. I've got CPTSD and I'm just a kaleidoscope of magical things, magical brain. I'm from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'm the author of Autistic World Domination. Ngā mihi nui, thank you so much for being here today, for listening, for bringing your hearts and your open minds. And thank you to all of the advocates and ancestors who went before us, who weren't even allowed to speak in these spaces. I'm just so grateful. It is my total joy to be here with you today. It is it's International Autism Month. Actually, if you're autistic, it's Autism Month every single month. If you know an autistic, if you love an autistic, if you are autistic, now is the time. Now is the time to kick things off with a fresh, positive, futuristic perspective. We're going to kick it off right now. Because you know what? Autistics are in every country. We are across industries. We are grown up. We are doctors and librarians and dentists and artists. The autistic population is growing all the time. This is because of increased awareness and dissolving stereotypes, greater access to diagnosis. Plus, like me, there's a whole generation of autistics who were only discovered as adults, either due to a huge meltdown from masking for far too long, or when our children got diagnosed and we suddenly started ticking off a lot of familiar boxes. I'm interesting, so I went with the total burnout option. I do not recommend 0 stars. Autism has been called an epidemic, but what if it's a revolution? Like every kind of different, autistics have always existed. We were the fire watchers, the sensitives. We were the ones that perceived things that others didn't. We said things others dare not. If there was a naked emperor, it was the autistic who called them out. So many of our Indigenous cultures light the way, seeing different as vital, and not in that really patronising, everybody's unique kind of way, but in that deeply awe-filled way of just embracing everyone as they are. Every being in existence brings special qualities that lock together in different ways, and it's really exciting. And I'm totally forgetting to do that. Why? That's pretty. We'll enjoy that for a minute. But it's too late because it's gone. Our ancestors were guided by the stars. long before there were telescopes to describe them. They understood the pull of the planets before science labelled it gravity. Our ancestors made astronomy a game so that children, future navigators, knew 220 stars by name. The cutting edge of technology has always been human. And in a time where the systems around us feel broken, could it be that the old ways are new tech? Autism is not a deficit or a disorder. It is a community. It's a culture. It's a way of being. And yes, it's a disability, because in a world that's been designed by and for neurotypical brains, anyone who exists outside the binary, boring, typical box is going to need supports to thrive, to survive and to overcome a system that human beings put in place. That pressure on us, that weight that we feel to work hard and be better and fit in, meet those standards and expectations, we inherited that weight from old, colonised, broken systems. That weight is not ours. That is a darkness that feels wrong because it is wrong. There is so much about the world that needs rewriting, and autistics are just the ones calling it out. You know, have you ever wandered into a store when it's sensory-friendly hour and just gone, right? Because the lights are dim, because it's calmer, because it's quieter. The neurodivergents are just the canaries in the coal mine. We're feeling it sooner, we're feeling it more intensely. The things that we are asking for make the world better for everyone. Colonisation is insidious. It starts as systems and rules, but then it digs down into undermining our language and our way of being, so cleverly disguised as innovation that we walk into the trap with our openness to learning, our trust in shared values. Surely any technology, any innovation would be for all of us, right? It would be for progress, it would be for the benefit of the whole world. Sometimes it's just about money and ego. And who would imagine that gentleness could be a threat, that the truth and sensitivity could be intimidating? But this is what so many of the old systems are based on, this idea that nature, indigeneity, spirituality, they're a challenge to logical scientific thinking, to logic and reason. I think what we're coming to understand is that colonisation took, and continues to take so much from us, not just the way that we see the world, it's a structure of power and control, and it's changed the way we see ourselves, the way we see our children. The average lifespan of an autistic person is 36 years old. I'm so elderly, right? You saw the graphs. It's not good for me. That is less than half the average population. We burn brighter, and we feel deeper, and we die sooner. And I'm a little bit here to say, bring it on. Wait. Okay, so what is up with that, or just the lifespan? Because that doesn't sound good, right? That doesn't sound good at all. If autistics are so clever and so sensitive and so amazing, then why is the average lifespan of an autistic 36? In fairness, different studies put the autistic lifespan anywhere between 36 and 54. But either way, it's not 100, isn't it? It's not great. We've got human beings skipping around like, oh, technology, better quality of life, living to over 100. And then we've got autistics, drowning. We're being killed by our caregivers. We're being taken out early by stress-related illnesses. And more than anything, we are killing ourselves. When I was a kid, people used to say, you need to go outside and run around and get some fresh air. And now that I'm grown up, do you know what I do all day? I sit at computers. I sit at screens all day long. I don't wear shoes. I eat whatever I want. And all the air I breathe is old never fresh. Were the grown-ups wrong? Or is the world changing all the time? And do we get to build our life the way that we want it? The statistics say that autistics die sooner and develop more stress-related issues. We are underemployed, despite equal skills and qualifications, epic work ethic, and we don't take sick days, just saying. We are overrepresented in the justice system, despite an innate propensity for honesty and rule following and fairness. There is no mystery to me that the second highest cause of death in autistics is suicide. That is a deliberate, conscious choice to leave a hostile world. A world where who I am is seen as an abnormality in need of a cure. I think you guys, the neurotypicals, sorry autistics, I think the neurotypicals are the strange ones, because if you can look outside right now at the world and not feel anxious and scared, there might be something wrong with you. Just saying. It's time to turn towards what works. The only thing that has ever worked. Community. To my Māori ancestors, children were treasure, taonga. Every child is born with te ira atua, te ira tangata, the spark of the gods and the spark of mortal man. An essence from each of our biological parents. The ira is the blueprint. And from the moment they came into the world, children were observed. And not just by their parents, the entire community, observed for their specific schema, their skills, their talents, their passions. And there are so many of them, millions and millions of passions and things like little repeated movements, things like innate talents and sensibilities. The tohunga, the wisdom keepers, would advise on the gifts coming through in the hapu, in the sub-tribes. The children who mix and stir, they're our potential healers. The children who delight in dropping and throwing, they could be our hunters. The children who like being in small spaces, the children who do not sleep. There is a place for every child. Iwi from across the rohe would gather together in symposiums just like this one, and they would feast, because you've always got to feast, and join together and talk about the next generation of children coming through. They would ask, what gifts is coming through in the next generation? What do people have? What's showing up? What is the future of our tribe? Plans were put in place, forward thinking to support and embrace each child. Who can mentor this particular child? Oh, what's the best way to nurture these skills? We've got a child with these skills that we can't place. Has anyone got any ideas? Imagine that as a foundation for the world, putting people at the heart of everything from the moment they're born, giving children the respect of the future selves that they're going to be and the multitudes that they already contain. We walk around like this is normal. Like this is normal. But we inherited these systems. Education that's competitive, medicine that's deficit-based. These colonial, racist, ableist systems, they were put in place on purpose to break down Indigenous ways. We think the fight is with the system, but it's not. As I continue my journey into my identity, my culture, my origin story, I'm finding the connections. And not just through shared history and trauma, but also through shared passion for ways of seeing the world that make the world better for everyone. Letting go of the fight to change the world and seeing that I'm already doing it, and so are you. Einstein, Mozart, Grandin, some of the greatest minds to have graced planet Earth were autistics, or suspected autistics, full of sensitivities and autistic traits. Their bold thinking and unorthodox styles astounded the norms of the time, but blazed a trail for the technology and tools that are now commonplace. What kinds of things used to be unbelievable, impossible? Running water, electricity, little box on your kitchen countertop that will answer any question on earth you can ask it. That's magic. Things often look unbelievable until they're done. You've heard the beautiful words of Brianne James. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And you know what that means? It means that we are ancestors for future generations, right here, right now. We plant seeds for what might seem impossible, but our wildest dreams are on track to be embodied in our children and our children's children. We are the game changers. We change the game to live, to play, to get what we need. We are game changers because we have to be, because it doesn't exist for us right now. So we make it, or our parents make it for us, with that kind of love that is unstoppable. We think the fight is with the system, but it's not. It's with the part of us that has forgotten our power. It's time to show the way, to do what works for you, for your family, to do what works for your community. Yeah, it's exhausting. But when you do what feels right for your heart, you shine, and you shine for the ones who are ready to see it. Because we're shaping the world, and we're doing it from a place of power and the purest love. One parent can be ignored, one caregiver can be diminished, one professional can be brushed aside. Divided, we're minorities, but together, we are one voice with the same message. Our children deserve better, and so do we. We're not going to wait for the rescue. We're already doing it. We are connecting. We're learning from each other, becoming one voice and one light. Because science and technology is not the leading edge. The leading edge is our hearts, our knowing, and the spark of our ancestors, our humanity. You can spend your whole life, and I have, trying to fight your weaknesses, trying to fit in and convince people who don't get it. Or you can spend your energy making magic with the 1 or the 3 or the 3 million people who do get it. I am honoured and proud to be with you and to be one of you, shaping a new world every day, every step. We are stronger together, and we are making different choices. We're feeling our way to what is right. The average lifespan of an autistic person is 36 years old, half that of the average population. Autistics feel harder, think deeper, burn brighter, and die sooner. We tell neurotypicals, just do it, carpe diem. Well, they've got time to waste. If you know an autistic, love an autistic, if you are autistic, now is the time. Stop getting by, stop waiting for the rescue, making do. Stop waiting until you have everything you need. You are ready, you were born ready. Be in the world, on fire right now, burning with who you are and what you're here to do. If you're autistic, you're not broken. You do not need to be fixed. If you're not happy, leave. You're not appreciated, go. Don't wait to find people and places who get you. Shine, and they will find you. There's a lot of things in the world that need changing right now, that a lot of people would have us just pretend it's all fine. But like our ancestors, we have to see the stars first, and then let the technology catch up to us. Feet on the ground, eyes to the stars. We deserve to feel at home in our skin and in this world. This is Autistic World Domination. Ngā mihi kia koutou. Thank you very much.
Welcome all the panelists, Dr. Temple Grandin, Dr. Alok Sharma, Ms. Lynn White, Dr. Richard Bowles, Thomas Silent, Ms. Stacey Hoagland, Ms. Elizabeth Bonker.
I've been to all the tech companies, Microsoft, been there, Google, a lot of the other, Apple, and there's all kinds of autistic people there.
35% of autistics cannot use speech for communication. I learned to type at age 5.
I stopped talking for 6 months, but I was also absorbing information like a sponge.
I'm a geneticist, so that's what I focus on. It can teach you what things that can help to mitigate the problem.
One of the things right now that's a big push right now is how hyperbaric medicine can affect autism, or positively, right? And hyperbaric oxygen therapy is one of the best anti-inflammatories.
We are treating younger children at about 3 with stem cell therapy. Within 6 months, they are going off the spectrum.
Every person that I ever met with autism, they all want to be a valuable member of society, to have a quality of life that every human wants to have.
This is going to be a very unique panel discussion. I mean, we've got such distinguished people here coming from different backgrounds, different specialities, different age groups, different everything. This is an open discussion. It's open to questions for all of you. But I'd like to kickstart the discussion by asking Temple, the autism that was there in your age group, or that Bill Gates describes, and the autism that you see now, could you share with us, what do you think, what is the difference?
Well, I had definite speech delay, absolutely definite. Some of the things that have been discussed that might be possible causes didn't exist. I'm 77 years old, and then I'm thinking back to when I was a child and when I was young, people that would have been called Asperger's, where there's no speech delay. A lot of these grandparents that come up to me and talk to me, they're old enough that some of those other things wouldn't have caused it. And what I got to thinking about all of this, like there was some very severe stuff discussed, there's a lot of people where they're just slightly geeky. I think they've always been here. So is autism increased detection or something else? I think it's both. And I think on this real mild end, some of the people I worked with in these shops, they wouldn't have had speech delay, but they would have been taking shop classes. And I think all the screen time has made a lot of stuff worse. But then you get into remains nonverbal. That's very severe. Regression at age 13. Then you have the kids that regress at age 3. Some of those kids, how are those different? That needs to all be looked at really carefully. It was interesting in the genetics talk, it said genetics, but then in some trigger. But there were plenty of people from my generation that would have been the Asperger type, where there's, and I know that's not used anymore, no speech delay. My father was probably one of them. He also had allergies, and then we both have eczema and skin rashes. I have Meniere's disease that I managed to get into remission. That's autoimmune. I think we need to separate it out, that might say the Asperger type from much more severe, where there's a lot of other things wrong with them. And now I do know in my generation there's always been kids that were just labeled mentally retarded. Yeah, now those have always been around too. But I think we need to be looking into all of these things. And I'm recommending let's limit the screen time. I was very happy to see a little 3-year-old glued to the window of the plane last night. We were coming in when it was dark and all the lights were on. I'm not glued to a phone. A lot less screen time, a lot going back to some 1950s, just teaching some basic social skills. And then the ones that are slightly geeky are going to do a lot better. Because these grandparents I talked to all had jobs, decent jobs. They managed to keep them. But where it helped was with relationships, getting a diagnosis. And it probably would have helped my father. I'm almost positive he was on the spectrum. No speech delay. That's maybe a very different thing than some of this much more severe stuff. And the first thing I want to do is take the data and divide it, start doing some categories, like a multivariate analysis on the data, to see how it breaks out into categories. And there's all the discussion about Kennedy. Well, we both might be right. You see, on one part of the spectrum, I think it may be just increased detection, but some of this more severe stuff, some of these other factors may be involved.
If I may. And I'm what I like to call a zennial. I have Generation X's work ethic and millennials' tech savviness. I was born during the Star Wars years, like late 1983. I just aged myself there. But I also see some of the development of how autism has appeared over the years. For instance, when I was first diagnosed, or even before I was diagnosed, I stopped talking for 6 months when I was about 2 years old. But I was also absorbing information like a sponge. So when I finally spoke again, I was ready to wring that sponge out. I could read, write, spell, rearrange magnetized letters on the refrigerator into words. I would rewind Sesame Street over and over again, my favorite parts of movies. We've really come a long way since thinking that Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man is the definition of autism, or at least that's what they had to work with back then. You didn't need to have an intellectual disability, mental retardation, whatever you want to call it. In the mid-90s, that was when diagnostic criteria changed, and I was officially diagnosed then with mild autism. Yes, the term Asperger's syndrome was thrown out there, but my formal diagnosis was mild autism.
Back in the 80s, you had to have speech delay to be autistic.
6 months of non-speaking, that was considered a speech delay. So I fit the bill, more or less officially, but it was also really an eye-opener. So that explains why I rewind videos, why I do what I do. So having knowledge of that diagnosis, understanding how it came to be, and what I'm going to do about it. This is the hand I've been dealt. I don't want to change in the sense that if you were to say there's a cure for autism, you want it? I'm saying no, because I am who I am, and I wouldn't be who I am without autism. And like I said, belief in yourself. In your own time and space.
Well, so this is an open discussion. Anybody can jump in. So, Taita, do you want to talk about some of your work?
Sure, I'm happy to. So just to give you a quick overview, as you kind of probably heard from me, I'm a pediatrician. I have cerebral palsy, was born in 28-weeker. 18 surgeries later, here I sit by the grace of God as a pediatrician and a hyperbaric medicine physician. But one of the things that I do, I run a facility all across the United States and abroad doing hyperbaric medicine for special needs individuals, for both children and adults. I've treated all indications for hyperbaric oxygen therapy, the 17 that are approved in the US, and over 65 internationally. One of the things right now that's a big push right now is how hyperbaric medicine can affect autism, or positively, right? And hyperbaric oxygen therapy is one of the best anti-inflammatories out there available, better than prednisones, better than anything else like that. The big key, before I go into a little bit more, I'll take 2 minutes, it's important to note that correct type of hyperbaric chamber is necessary, right? As the president of the American College of Hyperbaric Medicine and a key opinion leader in that space, it's making sure that we don't have a lot of these soft shells and the misunderstanding of how to use hyperbaric medicine safely and effectively. But the bottom line is it does work because you're mobilizing stem cells through nitric oxide pathways, and you're able to see when you use hyperbaric oxygen therapy, it addresses...
Are you saying the soft shells don't work?
I'm saying that a lot of them aren't as effective. Yes, ma'am. I think that there's a safety effort there. They're not covered by the FDA. People don't have the right training. They work in terms of some depth, but I think that there's a larger breadth there that has to make sure you're doing it effectively and correctly, right? So we see this a lot. But you'll see a lot of anti-inflammatory processes and stem cell mobilization where you have actually an 8 to 12 times increase of your stem cells, and that's why these kids are improving. And when you combine them with some of Dr. Alok and other stem cell programs, you can see dramatic improvements. And so we're seeing the same kind of testimonies that you are showing in your presentation, Dr. Loke, new speech, ability to pick up new language. It's incredible results.
Is your work published? Do you have scientific papers showing the results?
There's well over 250 published papers, both in India and across the United States. There's actually, apart from that, there are over, just in autism, there's over 200 published papers in terms of showing the anti-inflammatory effects and how hyperbaric medicine can mitigate and improve autism and its effects.
Richard, would you like to jump in? Genetics versus environment.
It's not versus, it's always both. The genetics is who is at risk. I mean, let's face it, no one has perfect genetics, and no one has a perfect environment. But some children are being affected and other children are not, even though they're in the same, very similar environment. The difference is genetic risk. But even if you have the genetic risk, does not necessarily mean that you're going to get it. You have to have a permissive environment as well. So it's 1 + 1. You have to have both of them. I think that a lot of people are focusing on environment, and that's great because that's something you can do something about, but not that many people focus on the genetics. I'm a geneticist, so that's what I focus on, not that it's more important, but I think it's equally important. Knowing the genetic risk can teach you what things to avoid better. It can teach you what things that can help to mitigate the problem. Knowing the environmental risk can do the same thing. So I think they're equally important.
Do you have any input?
You know, so much this entire week, right? We've heard so much about the new numbers and who's affected and who's not. And while, you know, we definitely know that we have a greater number because physicians are better at diagnosing it, but they're getting better at diagnosing it because there's no more autism. So they're having more experience with it. I've been an educational advocate for 25 years. I have a son who's 30, who was really part of that initial bubble, if you will, where we saw significant growth. And I can certainly tell you, I work as an advocate in the 6th largest school district in this country. And the numbers of students who are in special education programs, not the kids we would have missed before, have grown so exponentially that the systems have not kept up with the numbers. And the children who are really getting what they need, whether it is through medical intervention, educational intervention, looking at housing and opportunities for employment, they're generally the kids whose parents remain the most active. Because there are ways out there to be able to access the supports, but there's no silver platter. So it's really good that you guys are here because you're getting a bit of the silver platter here, but you really have to learn more as much as you can because, you know, the services, even if somebody comes up with some, like where it's from, if you will, we're still going to need to advocate for treatment, for housing, for job opportunities, for better education. So the needs to advocate is not going to decrease. If anything, it could actually increase. So I just encourage you all to do that. So I think the numbers are not just like, it's not just genetics, it's not just environmental, it's not just this type of autism versus that type of autism. I think that every person that I ever met with autism, and it doesn't really matter if they were a speaker or non-speaker, they all want to be a valuable member of society. Have a job if that's what they choose, or to volunteer, but to have a quality of life that every human wants to have.
Lynn, do you want to?
I agree with everything you said, and I think one of the things that we have to do is, if we do start getting to the bottom of some of this, so to speak, is we cannot forget those who really still need us. There are way too many out there that are not getting what they need, and what I'm the most concerned about is if they come up tomorrow and say, these are the 3 things, so we're going to turn the numbers back around. Our children are here. These children are here. We have parents here who have come up to us and said, my child is 4 years old, help. Okay? We can't forget them. They're here. And I think everything she said is right. I don't work in the school system, she does, but I will tell you what I do know from on the homeschooling side, because I've been a long-term homeschooling activist, is there are a lot of parents who homeschool their children because they're frantic. It's not because they're, oh, I'm going to be a homeschool parent. It's, I don't know what else to do. And until we accept that we have to do more, I'm all about finding the solutions, but that's above my pay grade. I'm just trying to help the people that need the help.
And in that vein, I failed finishing an Ironman twice before I succeeded the 3rd time. And for those of you that don't know what an Ironman is, it's 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 miles of biking, and 26.2 miles of running, all in under 17 hours. And I thought I could do it in Texas, but humidity, heat, headwinds, hills, they took me down like Superman to kryptonite. I attempted it again in Des Moines, Iowa. Got the same or similar conditions. Also, I didn't have the right equipment. I realized I really had to invest not just in money like a new watch and better bike, but also putting in the time. And I too do not use functioning labels. I feel when you call someone low functioning, you discount or dismiss their strengths and capabilities. When you call someone high functioning, you discount or dismiss their needs or struggles. So in my book, functioning labels, whether you put them on yourself or you put them on others, that's the F word. Don't use it.
Temple, I'm asking you. Yeah.
Okay.
Hypothetically, let's say RKF Jr. approached you to give advice on what the government needs to do, one, to maybe reduce the incidence of autism, and second, how to manage. What advice would you give the government?
Well, I think we're going to have to go all local because basically we're running out of money.
Okay.
I've just looked at I went to several sources. I checked out our national budget. Over half of it supports seniors right now.
Okay.
Over half of our national budget. Research money in my field and labs have been closing in a 50-year trend line.
Okay.
And we're going to have to start doing a lot more local stuff. We need to tap into these retirees with the early intervention that we're not getting. We're 2-year wait lists, totally terrible. And I was happy to find some people I talked to at lunch where they're doing some of this for retirees. Some of these people are 20 years younger than me. They need to be working with these 3-year-olds. That's what we're going to need to do. Tap into retirees to teach an art class, teach a music class, teach a whole lot of different things. You know, I read an article the other day that cruises in golf are not all what they're cracked up to be. That was in one of the papers. We're going to have to get into the local sources. Also, over the years, I've changed my terminology. I have old publications that say high and low functioning. I can't change that.
Okay.
But my new publications, I'll call them nonverbal or non-speaking. Remain nonverbal, don't speak. Got rid of high and low functioning. Some of the older stuff, some of the activists got after me. Now, sometimes I think they can go overboard on all this jargon and things like this.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I just like to figure out really practical things. Okay, like the really nice lady right here, just tell them, I like to give you an example of the kind of problem solving that I like to do. And when she was alone, she feels really scared because she's helpless. And I said, well, let's find a way for you to call somebody on a phone. Well, it has to be auditory. So we're going to just teach Siri that is one person, is another person, and then you just call on a speakerphone. You don't have to buy expensive stuff. I think that can be done with existing equipment. That's a simple thing to do. Okay, different buttons on the wheelchair that won't work. Okay, well then we don't use that. There's so many simple things. I remember one time watching a wonderful video a guy presented that showed a kid somewhere in Africa, got one of those Blade Runner legs, got a pair of them. And he was just so happy out there stomping in the mud puddles. And something like that makes a lot more sense than a fancy electronic leg that's going to just break.
Okay.
It's also something they could probably make in local shops. You see, this is where a visual thinker sees solutions to problems. You see, the idea for that phone thing, that is a car phone. You say, now call so-and-so. Well, we just got to make those little abrupt sounds. Why am I picking out those sounds? Because I don't want it accidentally going off all the time. It has to be something that you do very deliberately that will make it call somebody. I just think that stuff up. I mean, that's what visual thinkers do. I heard a solution to a problem. I also saw car phone in the car, too. The activists got all over some parent group that's called Profound Autism. And these are the people who need 24/7 care. You know where I've seen some of the best 24/7 care for really severe? Some faith-based groups. I've actually seen some very, very good programs. Benjamin's Hopes in Michigan, Brookwood in Texas. It's all private money. So some of the best programming I've seen for, I don't know what you want to call them, but these are the people that need 24/7 care. And they grow up into adults and the parents can't take care of them for the rest of their lives. You know, that's just examples of some things I've seen that really worked well. We need more of that kind of stuff.
So we'll touch on an important but sensitive topic. Tom spoke about his impending getting married, and you have chosen to live life by yourself. Between the two of you to discuss, because very often people on the spectrum who are older, they approach doctor and say, should we get a child married? What would be your advice?
Oh, there's been some very successful marriages. And the wife runs the business. No, seriously. There's been some very successful marriages. I know 2 computer programmers that got together. That's been very successful. They're both on the spectrum. And you know what they did for their engagement dinner? You got to go to a white table restaurant. You got to have candles because you got to set the stage for a super romantic discussion on computer data storage systems because they are the most interesting thing in the world. And 2 chemists got together.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there's been, some of these you intend to have nonverbal autistic kids. Yeah, there's a place for getting married. I had one parent come to me and said, my son's doing great. He got married, bought a house, going just great. And if my book helped somebody to do that, I think that's really a good thing. No, they should get to do all the things that regular people do. Some of them have got kids. That's been successful. I'm a problem solver. And I think I've figured out a way for you to get a phone that you can use. They'll call 2 or 3, maybe at least 2 numbers. Because I'd be anxious too if I was you and I was all by myself.
Tom, your views?
For my part, as far as marriage goes, there was a time I thought I wouldn't get married. And I was in a relationship with a woman on the autism spectrum, but it didn't work out. My parents, and they're still together. My mom and dad are still married after 45 years, but they live over 1,000 miles away from me. There was a time they offered me the opportunity to move up to where they were going. I said, I've built a life here. I'm going to stay. So actually, my parents, as much as I love them, being out of the equation actually helped me blossom. Yeah. I see we have some agreement. And Rosetta, she had to step out to check on an order of hers, but we had met in person 6 years ago at an event, kind of like this one. So we knew each other in person, face to face, stayed in touch online. During the pandemic, she moved to Virginia. That's where she hails from. I was in California. Then I was doing the Ironman in Maryland, the one I finished. And before that, I said, I'd like to meet you again. So we made arrangements after I finished the Ironman to meet, and we decided to get married, and we're getting married in September. And there are people in my life, unfortunately, that are thinking this would never happen. And now that it is, they are struck. Don't you think that woman is the most gorgeous woman out there, crown or not? And for someone with autism, and she's not on the autism spectrum, but I am able to make our relationship work. We have our struggles, as any couple does, but we believe that it's going to work out. And statistically speaking, only about 7% of people with autism ever get married. And even fewer stay married. So we have some resistance, some difficult spots, but our love matters. And I really wish she was here to hear me say that.
I would like to add, although that's very good, because as a pediatrician and as a person with a disability myself, I have a wife, 3 kids. One, we also adopted a special needs daughter who has Netherton syndrome from wound care side. We won't get into all that. But the point is, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the term ableism, right? A lot of times, a neurotypical individual is going to say, well, back in the old days, I wanted to go to the movies. Well, we didn't want to invite Tyler because he couldn't walk up into the stairs, right? So they were trying to save my feelings because they didn't want me to fall down the stairs, for example, when really I just wanted to be invited to the movies, let's say. So the point of all this I'm making is you just got to look outside the box and allow, there's a lot of blessings. We're all handicapped. Mind the world can see. We're all struggling with something. We all wish we could change something about ourselves, and that's the whole point about whether you're on the spectrum or not, right? But I think it has very much, we have to combat ableism in this country. Going back to what I would say to RFK, if it was for me or for anybody else with a disability, is when we lose value in people, we start to fail. And I think that's where the slip is, even though maybe some of his comments, in his mind, he was actually trying to help. I want to believe that, right? He was talking about the severe autism where they're never going to get married. I mean, I see these kids. So do you, Dr. Sharma. So do you, the occupational therapist. That's a real thing that we deal with, and these parents are looking for hope. So I don't want to say that by any means he's inherently evil, but it's a crass comment and realizing and finding people's value and how they navigate the world.
And people that are non-speaking, if they're in a job, know the difference between real work and stupid little busy work. And the other place where I've seen some really great programs is when the chairman or the president of a company has a child with a disability. I've forgotten the name of the man that did the warehouses at the Walgreens pharmacy, the distribution warehouses. He changed the computer so you didn't have to read. And the crews with the intellectual disabilities did better than the so-called regular people working in these warehouses. You see where the top does it. I went and I visited a plant in Mexico that actually had a very good program. There was a guy there that had, he said we had a boardroom meeting, and he said, well, I have Asperger's, and I now support my family. I support my sick grandmother. He was very proud of that. They put boxes together. Well, they had a marble stair in their corporate office. 3 people carried the wheelchair upstairs. It sort of was just the attitude of doing it in the middle of Mexico. Again, an owner of a company that has a child with a severe disability makes stuff like this happen.
So about 35% of autistics cannot use speech for communication. These non-speakers can learn to type. I learned to type at age 5. It's never too late to teach a non-speaker to type. With typing, we can be educated and live productive lives. Please read to your children. They understand what you are saying. You are teaching them to read. There are now thousands of typers around the world graduating from college. You need to work on these body issues. Thank you to all the doctors. You cannot learn if you feel terrible. Regulation issues affect so many of us. We are working on getting non-speakers out of fight or flight. Communication and regulation for all. You can do this, parents. We appreciate all you do for us, even if we can't say the words. Non-speakers suffer in silence. Please use Communication for All to teach them to type free of charge. We have stencil sets to give you so you can give your child a voice, and we have them over here for after the presentation. First come, first serve, we want to give them away. C4A Academy is our program of instructional videos. You can do it. We are all human beings who want to connect. We don't want to be left alone. Take us out to museums and for walks in nature. You can learn from parents who have walked the path and autistics who live the life. Non-speakers have a motor disorder, not a cognitive one. We want to have relationships of all kinds. We are just like you. Look beyond our differences. Please believe your children have gifts for the world. The world will be a better place when all non-speakers can communicate and share their gifts. There are more than 30 million non-speakers in the world and only a few thousand typers. Please join our mission to change this. Most non-speakers are diagnosed with intellectual disability, and we have a motor disorder. Don't believe the IQ tests. We need to learn to type to show you what we know. Giving an iPad with a picture exchange system is not enough. We need 26 letters to express ourselves and be educated. Please watch the Spellers movie on YouTube. It will show you how typing changes lives from hopeless to hopeful. Profound autism conflates non-speaking with intellectual disability wrongly. Non-speaking doesn't equal non-thinking. Teach them to type. We are all interdependent. I was extremely self-injurious and have great empathy. Please don't give up hope. The right doctor can help. A virus triggered PANS, an autoimmune reaction. It is serious and needs expert treatment. Parents, keep pushing the medical science. You are the expert on your child. Find doctors that believe autism is a treatable condition.
This question is for Dr. Bolts. This is about the supplements that you had shared earlier. Is there a protocol to wean off the clients or patients who are using them, or is it more like a lifelong usage of these items?
I think that depends on why the supplements are started in the first place. If they're started because you want to improve your concentration and focus a bit, and then you do it on your own or go to an environment in which that's not necessary, then you can decrease it. But for the most part, autism was present at conception, at least the genetic component of it, and the neurological part was present in very early life. And most people continue the supplements for a long time. I do want to mention one thing that from earlier is that when we're talking about autism, we're talking about an extremely wide spectrum. And on one side, you have the billionaires, and obviously they are employed and they are getting married, and they are thinking of themselves as neuro-unique and not disabled, and that's very, very valid, and they are actually offering a tremendous amount for society. And on the other end of the spectrum, as a pediatrician, I see people that have very severe intellectual disability, who have abilities of a 3-year-old when they're intellectually while they're an adult. Maybe they can't even walk very well, maybe they have seizures, maybe they have serious problems as well. And those are also with autism. And those people are not going to get married and are not going to be employed. And then there's everything in between. There's a tremendous spectrum. And so it's really hard to talk about everything on the same spectrum with the same answer.
I can't stress enough how much people underestimate the autism population. Yep. We are overlooked, we are undervalued, and unfortunately we believe what we are told sometimes too much. When we're told we can't do something, we internalize it, we believe it, and we stick with that. It took a lot of me to get out of my own way and realize I don't have to listen to the haters. I'm going to do more with my life, and look where I'm going.
Well, one of the things the projects that were shown in the HBO movie I did in the 70s, and I wanted to prove I wasn't stupid. That was a huge motivation for me, as a lot of people, since I couldn't do higher math, thought I was absolutely stupid and I wouldn't be able to do anything. And then I discovered these other people out there that owned machine shops, couldn't do higher math either, and were on the autism spectrum, and they had really good businesses and 20 patents. That made my day when I discovered them.
How would you respond to people with autism or their family members who participate in self-isolation because of the maybe fear of judgment of going into the community, and what you would say maybe to inspire them to go into the community more and participate in the community more?
Well, Mother always had me out in the community, and she had a very good sense of how she could stretch me and the things that I'd be capable of doing. Like, for example, when we went to my grandmother's house for Sunday dinner, for my exercise, I was allowed to play Beat the Elevator, and I could run up 5 flights of stairs before the elevator got there, and that kind of run the energy out of me. Another thing they did is I only had to sit at the family table for 20 minutes. Then I could ask to be excused, but if dessert wasn't served, I didn't get any. So if I wanted dessert, I had to stay. You see, she always put some choice in there, but she had a very good sense of how much to stretch me, and she realized that big, noisy crowds were sometimes a problem, but I'm concerned that some moms just totally overprotect. They can't let go to let their kid do the most innocent things, like while you're pumping gas in the car, have the kid run in and buy some milk at the store. And I had one mom says, I don't have the guts to do that. You see, this is where the moms just can't let go at all, and they're doing everything for the child, and the kid's not learning anything. And I have a book called The Loving Push, and that was aimed at, getting these moms to get them out gradually doing things. You see, I've seen huge problems with everything being done for them, and they're not learning any skills. And we had a rule that it had to be on the list. So as soon as I knew how to write, I'd put things on the list, and I would help with grocery shopping. I'd go and get things on the list, put them in the basket. I was learning that at a very young age. Yes, and you do Walmart, for example, that's one of our big stores, when it's not so busy.
In California, where I live, I don't know if they do it here in Florida or other places, there are certain reduced sensory hours. Like you can go in between like 7, 8 a.m., less lighting, less people, a lot more better shopping experience. But I've written a book, Come to Life, Your Guide to Self-Discovery, to address gang out there. Life doesn't come to you, my friends. It's up to you to come to life. Are we keeping our kids out from out there? And also in addressing the naysayers, the people that might be holding us back in a sense. That's in my book, My Glass is Full. And these are available for sale.
Is in neuro needs, I mean, we have some people with autism that work for us, and they are in positions in which their abilities are perfect for their job. They are better than a neurotypical person at that job, because we know that they can do that, and we know autism. We just need to get the word out that these people have certain abilities that allow them to do things better than other people, that it's not charity, that employers will want to hire them. And they'll want to give them a good wage. We think that, I mean, this is what Dr. Grandin was talking about, is the way of fixing things and pictures and everything, is that they have abilities that other people don't have. We just need to get that word out.
We wouldn't have any computers without all the people in the tech industry. And I've given talks there, and half those programmers are on the spectrum. Yeah, I've been to those companies. I've sat in their fancy restaurant, watched all the nerds come in. We need the skills. See, that's the thing. At one end of the spectrum, and you've got Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Bill Gates is official now. He's on the spectrum. And he's had a very successful business. Another thing, both me and Bill Gates were taught that you give back. That was something we were both taught. I have put 23 graduate students through school paying for their masters and their PhDs. That's what I've done with the book money and speaking engagement money. And Bill Gates said you get huge amounts of money going into healthcare. We were both brought up in an era where you give back, which it's been really eye-opening for me to read his book, because so much of how we were brought up was very, very similar.
Thank you so much for all of your work that you do. And I need to emphasize that profound autism is real. Work is being done right now to put it in the DSM so that we can have a specific name for the people that will require lifetime support. And as much as, of course, we want our kids to continue to grow and to thrive and to be as independent as possible, it's very important to recognize that for some people, they are not going to be independent. And the best thing that we can do is continue to support them, have trained caregivers, because one day we're not going to be here anymore, and our kids are still going to need care. And the system is very broken for them. And it's hard. Autism is not always awesome for everyone. It's hard. And, you know, when you see kids that are beating, or adults that are beating their heads and they've lost their eyesight because they're banging their head on the wall, I mean, these are real things that they're dealing with. And so it's a big spectrum. When we adopted our kiddo that's special needs, the developmental doctor, the first thing that he told us to do was watch your movie, Dr. Grandin. And it was amazing for us. And it was very eye-opening. And the encouragement was there for him, and we are still encouraging our kiddo. But he's almost 20 years old, and he still can't use the bathroom by himself, not completely independent. He can't brush his teeth by himself, and that's a goal that he worked on the entire time that he was in school. So we have to recognize that, you know, he's not going to get married. He's not going to be able to live the same life that my other kids can live. He's not going to be able to drive a car. But any improvement that he can make towards being independent, we're going to continue to push him. I mean, he's still in therapy. He just got on a horse 2 weeks ago. We were shocked about that. We never thought he would get on the horse. We thought he's going to go and brush the hair of the horse and just be there. But no, he did. And so that improvement that he made, I mean, we're thrilled, and we're going to continue to do that. But we also have to prepare him and his brothers and sisters that, you know, he's going to need care after we're gone. So I just wanted to say that remember, and I appreciate everybody's positivity, but remember that for some people, they have kids and family members with profound autism that are going to need lifetime care.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. In my talks, one of the things I talk about all the time is we're going from Einstein that somebody is going to need, constant care, 24/7 care. You see, this is one of the problems. And it's such a big spectrum, all with the same word on it. And I totally agree with you. And every talk I do, I make a point of, some of the activists attack the term profound autism. And I'm not the one who's attacking it.
People that have the loudest voice are putting in the input, but the people that can't speak and their caregivers, God bless them, are tired. I mean, it's all you can do to pay the bills and take care of a person, change adult diapers, emergency room visits. Nobody wants to babysit, so you can forget like going places. It's hard. So those people are left out of the research and the statistics. And so it's important for us as the autism community as a whole to remember that 27%.
Okay, now I'm very interested in the 27%.
That's profound autistics.
Okay, where that figure came from. Just from my experience, I'm pretty sure that's correct.
I was just at the Profound Autism Summit last week in Boston, and that was the figures that they gave, and I trust
But
that.
I've seen parents just completely stressed out. I remember one respite program they had in Texas, and the family was so stressed out, they just put the music on in their air-conditioned car and just laid there for 4 hours. That was how stressed out they were. 4 hours of respite, and this is very different than somebody like me or somebody like Bill Gates. It's a totally different thing. And then you have some that are kind of medium that may not be totally independent, but they can do a lot of life skills. It's such a big spectrum.
I really believe that what we need is more people that care, more people that don't have autism, that care, like teenagers and, like you said, seniors, that can help parents, that are trained, that there just needs to be more compassion in our society, and I feel like that should be a part of the message that the autism community is putting out there.
Well, the other problem we got was certain advocacy, the autistic community, they attacked me, they've called me ableist, they've called me bad things. Some of it, they just put so much venom out there,
right,
that you're not actually getting things done. One of the things that 25 years, and remember I'm 25 years in the construction industry, and I have found that it affects how I think about things. You have to build things and solve problems and not just talk about it. You got to do stuff. You got to get projects done. You got to make them work. You got to not fight everybody. You don't get jobs done doing that.
It is to support children like yours that I made that comment that didn't go over well. That autism is a very large spectrum. I see kids that appear to be profound. Some of them become mild autism because of the right treatment. Sometimes we find the exact gene and they get much better. Some of them become moderate autism, but some of them stay profound, even if we find the gene. Some of them we can't help today in 2025, no matter what we do. And you're right, the community is not really supporting them to the degree that perhaps that we should. And we need to consider them as well as the others.
I need to just add something. You said there's no research on profound autism.
Very little, like 6%.
But
people with
no, just to let you know that we are actually doing intense research through brain scans. So we are doing PET CT scans, and we are noticing that those children and adults with profound autism have a very different type of hypometabolism in the brain. So we are able to, through brain scans, separate the mild from the moderate from the severe. And we are also able to, we can also see which parts of the brain are working more and what special skill sets they could possibly have. So today, especially in the neuroimaging world, the focus is shifting from what they cannot do, the brain that is not working properly, to what they can do. And as you know, in all the talks, including what Temple spoke about and Tom spoke about, once we identify what is the thing that they are specially connected to, feel about, and then give them coaching in that, they do miracles. Now, the treatments that we have, the treatment that Titler said, hyperbaric oxygen, our own treatment with stem cell therapy, we are able to help the people with profound autism as well, because the stem cells go and repair that part of the brain which is damaged. And we are seeing non-verbal, see, there's no question about the improvement. A child who's non-verbal for 8-9 years starts talking, Now, there is no question about whether it worked or not, because you're non-verbal, and, surprisingly, among the first things that the children say, they tell their mothers, I love you, mommy. We've got dozens of kids where among the first things that comes out is expression of love. It was just bottled up inside, and it actually gets expressed. Yes, there is work being done. Those distinctions are happening, and it is likely that in the future, the combination of stem cells with hyperbaric oxygen and rehab will possibly help the children.
I want to make a quick comment to you.
Go ahead.
One thing you didn't say in what you just talked about with profound autism, you voluntarily took that on, which is amazing. Not a lot of people would do what you did.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your contribution.
So that's
Rosetta.
a lot.
You're on, Rosetta. Yeah.
We are here because we're together, right? Because we love one another. We're talking about autism. These great people on this panel have different views, different point of views. Remember, we look at life different ways. Each person brings something great to the table. So let's respect every person on the panel, and everyone here is being respected. The thing I would like to point out is that I remember going to Tanzania, and Tom and I was talking with a lady there. She said the moment her son was born, her and her husband was told he would never be married. She would never have grandkids. Now, for my experiences being a nurse, I'm not a nurse and I'm a motivational speaker, but I was a nurse. So I know what it's like to change diapers. I know what it's like to take care of someone. But I also know patients that are underestimated. So it's very important, no matter what you're told about your child or your loved one, never set the bar so low that you keep it there, that you miss something great about your loved ones. I love you all. Thank you for your time.
So 2 days ago, we went to our neurologist, and we were trying to understand, is there a way of defining physically in the brain autism? And she said no. She provided certain suggestions, and we felt so bad that we didn't tell her that 2 weeks before we have had stem cell treatment in India. So there's such a bad perception in the US, unfortunately. And one of the things that she said is there's no research. In our minds, like, Dr. Sharma has all the research in the world. Specifically, she pointed out to Duke University. Duke University is the one that has done the most studies in the US, but they only do stem cell treatments for kids with cancer. So my suggestion and pledge, Dr. Sharma, how can we let the world about your research? And I know you have it. You are open to give it to anyone who wants it. What can we do, us here, to help the world know about the success of your treatment? Whether it's leaders, politicians, regulators, they finally listen to people. You're the real voice. You are what is real. All of us, some of us, have professions, some of us have a conflict of interest, some of us have particular preferences or beliefs, but parents have one and only one thing in their mind, the well-being of their children. Is there anything else that you can even think of? Nothing. So your voice is the voice that will be heard. And when you speak it loud enough and repeat it enough, there will be a change. Change comes about when people like you speak out. Because, we believe our own clinical experience is showing us that when we are treating younger children at about 3 with stem cell therapy, within 6 months they are going off the spectrum. The older the child, the longer it takes. And it is my hope and dream that one day this becomes a standard of care. The moment it is diagnosed, especially kids who are profound, will need it. There are children who will not need it. There are a whole lot of children who are mild, who adapt and who get along with life very well. But not everyone. There will be what she's talking about, the profound kids who need help. There's something called a hole in the heart. Kids with Down syndrome have a hole in the heart. If you have a hole in the heart, you fix it. The cardiac surgeon will go and do something and fix it. So if there is severe and profound damage, it needs to be fixed. And what we are seeing is that once you fix that, whether it's hyperbaric oxygen, whether it's micronutrients, whether it's the supplements that he was talking about, whether it's the stem cell I talk about, whether it's the rehab he talks about, in my lecture I said it all works together. So your voice is the voice that will be heard.
Anybody else, any questions?
I have one question. I'm watching with the gentleman behind me who is telling about that. Even my neurologist did not believe when we started the stem cell therapy for my son. But after 3 or 4 visits to India to the Neurodivergent, the changes she saw in the kid, it's unbelievable. My son is the same patient for last 6 to 7 years with the same neurologist, with the therapies and everything. The development, what she saw after stem cell therapy is totally different. We could able to make understand the neurologist, but the school system did not understanding us actually. Some of my friends, when they go to this kind of a different kind of a therapy out of the book, which is not profound in very popular in the USA, they're not even going to tell in their schools actually. They're telling that we're going to vacation for 5 days, 6 days. We did the same thing. We went to the school. I said my kid got help. If somebody needs help, you call my number, I'll tell them the same thing. I told every parent who called me, and I given the number, I told him that what are the benefits which my kid got. I feel if we don't keep the awareness of these things, of different methods, it is impossible to help the whole community. The community needs help. We have to be together to help the system. Because if the system doesn't help, we have to come up from our own side from here and help the system.
My son can see a video now.
Yeah.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And by God, he's following the video for the first time in his life, touching his head, his shoulders, his knees and toes. He can say 3 weeks out of a stem cell. He can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even though he has apraxia and sometimes he closes his mouth to talk. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we practice that every day. It's a miracle. It's science. But there's science behind it.
You tell the doctor in the U.S., and there's where is that coming from? We feel uncomfortable telling them because they tell us there's no research. And that's why even though we speak up, we feel outcast. Because that's the system in the U.S. today. It punishes anyone that does any research outside the United States. They don't consider that research. It's I haven't seen any research. Neurologist practicing over 20 years.
His pediatrician who didn't believe started believing after she saw the improvements. Go back and say, this is the improvements. Your child was not talking. He's talking within 3 weeks of the stem cell therapy. There is no rocket science to it. A child not talking starts saying ABC till Z after 3 weeks. That's a positive sign. Let the world know it. Speak up for it, and then slowly things will change. And we now have the present health secretary, R.K. Jr., he has actually tweeted about stem cells and hyperbarics. He's actually tweeted that these are things that were intentionally suppressed. He says it openly. He says these were suppressed by the FDA. The health secretary of the United States is saying that treatments like hyperbaric, stem cell, and all these other nutraceuticals, he mentions nutraceuticals, were intentionally suppressed. So when you speak up, they will listen. People do listen to parents.
Yes, and what I did is, I did not listen to any of the parents or anything. I keep on stressing that, yes, we are treating with the same thing, we are treating with the same thing. We will be integrating with the other therapies, yes, but we're not going to leave that. If you think it is not helping, it is your opinion, but not my opinion. I'll do the good thing what my kid needs. I'll stand up for my kid.
The gentleman had a question.
What does the solution look like? Can come from a place of curiosity and discovery rather than who's using language itself. Ask for more discovery about why they were guided in language that way. And maybe, just maybe, instead of just seeing a lot of trees in Kansas during the 30s Dust Bowl trying to survive, maybe we use discovery, we have curiosity with all the groups to bring ourselves into one big collective force that can leverage the impact the world is missing. Thank you.
I think the one big thing, and I'm going to get this lady too, is I'm in Melbourne, for example. The grassroots you hear about, it's finding somewhere locally that believes, and that's where it starts, with tremendous experience. And Dr. Sharma and I have worked together in hyperbarics for years now, right? And I go to India consistently. So you got to find the forward-thinking physicians that collaborate, that are thought thinkers and innovators. But for those of you guys who are out there, for me, Brevard Regional Hyperbaric Center, if you guys are around here locally an hour away, come see me.
Those willing and able physicians are very few. And creating some sort of inventory, some sort of Facebook page where you can access and really point out specifically these physicians. We asked our neurologists about hyperbarics. There's no research. What they should point out is the kid that died in Ohio. So they're using those small mistakes sort of to prevail these sort of veil. We need an inventory list of those physicians that are willing. And if everybody can contribute, we have one. But I think if everybody can contribute, who are those physicians that are willing to work looking at alternative medicines?
TACA has a list. If you go into the Facebook group of TACA and then you have to submit your child, because they only accept people that has kids in the spectrum, right? And they do have a file that is always updated with doctors in the United States that are like pandas, and you can find Rossignol and Dr. Fry's names there.
Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Masi. I'm from Kenya. I'm a mother of triplet boys with autism. We have to believe that autism is treatable. So we are coming from a background noise that autism cannot be treated. So you get this diagnosis and you are in limbo, you struggle, and then somehow you find the light. So I found some light. We've been doing stem cells since my sons were 5.5. I mean, it has been a game changer. I have come from a state of constant clinical depression to just smiling. I mean, you all saw my son, Ricky, even ask Dr. Temple a question. And I mean, that is, I never even knew he's at that space. So what am I saying? What I'm saying, especially to the parents, we have been fortunate to have all these professionals give us very fantastic talks and solutions, but as parents, what is our duty? I feel that our duty is to a call for action. Dr. Sharma said that everybody is speaking in their own space because you cannot be a jack of all trade. You see, that's why we have Dr. Richard is working on genetics and metabolism. We have the OT is working on sensory. We have Dr. Sharma working on stem cell and so many others. So what I have done as a research, my background, I'm a research scientist, and it has really helped me because in research, we follow protocol to the dot. If you want your experiments to work, you have to follow from A to Z. That's exactly what I've done. I've taken Dr. Sharma's protocol, followed it A to C. I've taken Dr. Temple's protocol, lived experience. She stresses so much about independence and career. And I can tell you the last 2 years, her words have really shaped the way we are doing intervention for my sons. Right now, my 3 sons can all wash themselves, clean their butts, feed themselves, go to sleep, shower, they can mop the house, they can wash their clothes, brush, and now we are doing now outside independence. That's why you see like Ricky is roving all around from hall 1, A, B, C, and asking questions even I'm not there. Right now, I don't know where he is. He told me, Mom, I want to go and swim. I said, okay. I didn't even know there is a gym in this facility, but last night, Olivia, what did he say? Mom, I'm going to the gym. I asked him, did you carry gym clothes? He said, yes, and he went. So what I'm saying is that let us take what is ours. Their work is research. Let us implement. Let us take everything, not just one thing. It's all about, they have said it's research, and many parents ask me, Masi, will stem cell work for my children? I'm like, Yeah, because it's research. It doesn't know Lenny, it doesn't know your son, it has no face. It's research. Just follow the protocol. You know that stem cell cannot work on its own, work on the diet, metabolism, work on multidisciplinary neurorehabilitation, and definitely be patient. For us, it's been a journey of 8 years. Those who were in Sylvie's talk yesterday morning, they saw my son riding a bicycle, participating in a charity event to raise funds for a school of special needs, and he was actually riding in a crowded highway. I mean, I saw that and I'm still smitten, I'm still overwhelmed. So please, parents, let's take our mat and walk. Thank you.
I wanted to ask Elizabeth what we can do to help you and your mission and the legislation, to have legislation passed in the government.
We need to fight to enforce the Americans with Disabilities Act in schools, which is something that she is desperately trying to do for families across the country who, even after they learn how to type, are being denied that accommodation in their schools. So again, there's so many things to do. Thank you for the question. That's only one of many things. But you can go to our website, communication, 4all.org, and we have a take action section. And it'll tell you about what Elizabeth is doing to try to help all those who suffer in silence.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. So we'd like to wind up now. We'll ask each panel member to give a concluding remark. Lynn?
I just think that conversations like this are what are needed. We all look at it differently, and that's what makes it right. Because if we all agree with each other all the time, the world would be a very boring place. Mm-hmm. And we each have our different needs that don't make anybody less or anybody more. We just all need to work together. And I want to say this. Meeting Elizabeth was my highlight. She's right. We have to fight. And guess what? Parents, we do know our children. And when we fight for our children, sometimes we take on a role we didn't want to take on, but at the end of the day, we can inspire other parents to fight for their children. Because I've had people say to me, I don't have your personality. I'm not willing to just take somebody on. And I say, you don't have to have my personality. You just need to believe in your child.
Thank you, please. Welcome to
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Elizabeth kind of says it all up there. But just to go to what you guys were saying, just real quick for a minute, when my son was little, we got very quickly, as soon as he got diagnosed, we got into looking at bio treatments. And we did the gluten and casein-free diet. And when I took him back, because I don't know, I guess I had this thought in my head, because they keep wanting you to come back, like they're going to say something different. And so I took him back like the next year to that same neurologist. And he's like, wow, what are you doing? He looks pretty good. Like, what's happening? And I was like, well, I have him on this diet. And he's making all this tremendous progress. The doctor said to me, the neurologist, it was a neurologist, a pediatric neurologist. He said, shooting darts in the dark. And I said, hand me the dart. And so, you know, you have to, you take people's as much information as you can. You talk to people who have, you know, who are experts in the field, and then you make the best decision you can for your family.
Some of us physicians, like myself, have been around for a while, and we've been treating autism successfully for 30 years, and you're right, the institutions still don't believe that it works. I'm trying to publish as much as I can. It's a drop in the bucket for what we need. A lot of people are doing the same. The parents need to fight. Hopefully we have an administration now that is listening. At least now they are. Maybe they'll make a difference. With autism increasing so incredibly rapidly, this is going to become a societal suicide mission if we don't immediately get off the tracks and do something about it now and take care of all the kids along the way.
Thank you.
No one tells your story better than you do. And too many of us are struggling to tell it. But when you find your voice and use it, that's when your life transforms for the better and other people's lives transform for the better. So go out there and do what needs to be done. Some of us have more work to do than others. We have come a long way, but we have a very long way to go. And I'm not much of a gardener, but I think every one of us is like a flower, and we might bloom later in life. Certain circumstances promote or stop our growth. Find the place where you can not only survive, but thrive. That's why I finished my first in Maryland. No heat, no humidity, no headwinds, no hills. I did it. You can find the place you can survive and thrive too. Go get it. Final thoughts?
Well, yeah, working on more and more independence. I definitely believe in that. Unfortunately, I'm seeing too many young adults that have become recluses in their room. That's something I was never allowed to do. You know, they were always getting me out doing things, but there was always choices. For example, when I was afraid to go to my aunt's ranch, which involved getting on an airplane and flying from New York to Arizona, there was a choice, 1 week or all summer. Not going wasn't a choice. You give some choices. It's like I talked about the kid that wouldn't put the phone in the x-ray machine. He can leave the phone at home, or put it in the dog dish, or put it in his backpack. Those are the choices. It goes to the airport, it goes in the x-ray, period. But there's some choice as to how you do it. And I've worked with so many people professionally that I know are on the autism spectrum. I've been to all the tech companies. You know, Microsoft, been there, Google, a lot of the other, Apple, and there's all kinds of autistic people there. You see, this is the problem we've got. At one end of the spectrum, you've got that, and at the other end of the spectrum, you've got, I'm going to call them the 24/7. These are the people that need constant care. And some of them have varying amounts of problems. And I think it's this population you may be more likely to find that some of these treatments work. I'm on a gluten-free diet now for heartburn. That only started last year. But we've got to go out and just see what we can do, because I'm seeing too many people of my type going nowhere. Way too many, because they're not learning life skills. And they're not learning work skills.
Well, I'll echo what she said. You only handicap yourself by choice, right? That's it. We're here. As a physician that's devoted my life to doing this as well, we're here. And I think you just have to find your village. You guys know that, but at least locally, if I could be an asset to you an hour way around, let us know. And you're looking at a panel that believes the same thing. It's not pseudoscience. It is grounded in science. We're just forward way thinking and combining it all. As Dr. Sharma said, it's a multifactorial approach. And when you do that, combining all these different modalities, you can see dramatic miracles in your kids' lives. And every study that you look at with hyperbaric oxygen therapy, stem cells, no matter what, just like in my own life, it all showed improvement in quality of life. And is that now all we're all looking for? That's exactly it. So find your doctors, find the people that believe in you, and go get it.
So thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for being a wonderful audience. We want you to know that as parents of children on the spectrum, you, for those of us professionals here, are our inspiration, our motivation. You are the wind below our wings that keeps us doing what we are doing, because very often the work we do is in the face of stiff opposition and resistance. But what you need to know is all of us in our own way, okay, whatever aspect of medicine we practice, rehabilitation we practice, will continue to do the best that we can to ensure that all the, whether they are children or adults on the spectrum, are able to be the best of what they are. We are able to bring out the best potential within them. The work that we are doing with stem cells, and we've treated over 6,000 children with autism, a total of 15,000 patients, including cerebral palsy. We have over 100 publications. So the research is there. It's just a matter of time. As more and more, like your children start improving and start speaking, as more and more people get to know, this will be available everywhere. The truth, real science, real treatments cannot be hidden and suppressed forever. It will come out. And it is my belief that it's a combination of comprehensive rehab, micronutrient supplementation, rehabilitation, hyperbaric oxygen, and the stem cell that we do, and all the advice that Temple has given. If you listen to Temple, I suggest you watch her movies, you watch her podcast. She gives you very simple advice. That one advice, talk slowly, results in tremendous speech improvements. That's simple advice. So sometimes it's a very simple advice. It's not something high-tech that brings about the best results. So I want to thank all the panel. Thank you for the wonderful discussion. Thank you for being here. And thank you very much. I thank Dolly, thank you for arranging everything. Lynn, thank you for being the co-host of the conference. You two guys have done a great job. Thank you.